had scheduled to film an interview with a prominent surgeon, but before we could get inside the building, the hospital's media relations manager stopped us.
Actually, I understand that Dr. said that you could film here today, but unfortunately that's not going to be able to happen. I know that he advocates for patients changing their diets, but the hospital makes money off these surgeries, and the reality is he does too. So we can't do anything that's going to negatively impact the hospital, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to film here today.
I was sickened by how open she was about the hospital being more interested in profits than people's health. But it wasn't just this hospital or these organizations. Even the U.S. government is involved too. Every 5 years, the U.S. Department of Agriculture creates dietary guidelines for Americans. The committee who writes these guidelines has been made up of individuals who have received money from McDonald's, the National Dairy Council, the American Meat Institute, the National Dairy Board, the National Livestock and Meat Board, the American Egg Board, Dannon, candy and sugar companies, Coca-Cola, and Anheuser, just to name a few, which means we are getting our dietary recommendations from the very industries that are killing us.
And when the USDA, makes a pyramid or a power plate every 5 years for the American public, they're going to guarantee that on that plate are going to be foods which, when consumed, will result in millions of Americans perishing.
The USDA, which is supposed to be protecting us, has two missions. It's supposed to protect us, and it's supposed to protect the producer. And guess what? When those two come head to head, they usually choose the producer.
In internal documents uncovered by Dr. Greger, the USDA admitted that eggs cannot legally be called nutritious, low-fat, part of a balanced diet, low-calorie, healthful, healthy, can't say it's good for you, or even safe. Yet they still promote these products to the American people through federal checkoff programs.
If you ask somebody if they've heard of a checkoff program, the odds are they haven't, although daily they are seeing the messaging that these programs produce. So checkoff programs are responsible for the messages that we see on TV, on the internet, on bus billboards and magazines that say things like, milk, it does a body good, or milk life, beef, it's what's for dinner, pork, be inspired, the incredible edible egg.
The dairy checkoff program gave $12 million to Domino's to just market cheese-heavy products. And this is the USDA, this is the government. If you've seen those ads for the Pizza Hut pizza, the stuffed crust, or a pound of cheese, those are all government advertising schemes for the industry. How can we put more cheese on beef? How can we put more milk in a coffee? Things like that to just drive consumption of these just unbelievably unhealthful products. So McDonald's, for instance, has 6 people staffed full-time, according to records we found, whose salaries are paid for by this government program, but funded by the producers who are regulated by it. And these 6 people sit there at McDonald's headquarters and just come up with ideas.
Triple cheese decker McCheese muffin stuffed bacon cheese slider?
With extra cheese?
No. Yes. You don't think of it on a day-to-day basis that these are government programs. The Wendy's bacon double cheeseburger, government program. The steak fajita at Dunkin' Donuts, government program. You would just never think that this just pure garbage from a food standpoint is coming from a federally funded program.
That's one of the things that makes checkoffs so incredibly creepy, is that it is our government telling us, eat more beef, drink more milk, eat more cheese, eat more pork. One of the very effective ways that the dairy industry promotes its products is to reach children, because kids are impressionable, they're going to be consumers for their entire lives, and you might as well get them while they're young. So dairy spends at least $50 million promoting its products in public schools throughout the country with posters with people with milk mustaches and messages like, milk, it does a body good, or milk life.
Targeting young people, right? The tobacco industry had to keep replacing their customers who are dying with new customers. The meat industry knows they have to target young people. That's why we have these foods in schools and marketing messages at a younger and younger age for kids to get hooked on all the wrong kinds of foods. So there's all kinds of parallels.
School districts where processed meats are all over the place. Maybe it's going to be bacon on the menu, sausage, hot dogs, or pepperoni pizza. Any of those things are processed meats, and those are pretty much the worst of the worst with a direct link to colon cancer. And yet you have every day in the schools meal items with processed meats.
If the Surgeon General puts warning labels on tobacco because of their cancer risk, why aren't the same warning labels on meat?
Based on the publicly available data, we know they spend at least $557 million promoting their goods through checkoff programs. We know that they spend at least $138 million lobbying Congress. We expect that they spend a good deal more than that in figures that simply aren't publicly disclosed.
The industry's lobbying power is so strong that they can create laws and push through legislation that doesn't benefit Americans in any way, such as ag-gag laws that criminalize whistleblowing or photographing abuses by this industry. Activists in the U.S. can be charged as terrorists for disrupting the profits of any business that uses animals under the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act, to the even more ridiculous ones like cheeseburger laws.
A cheeseburger law is a law that says a plaintiff cannot recover against a manufacturer, distributor, or retailer on the theory that the food made the plaintiff obese or caused an obesity-related disease.
Cheeseburger laws are a direct response to a problem that the tobacco industry has had. Big Tobacco has paid $400 billion to state Medicaid programs. Cheeseburger laws proponents say, we don't want to see the same kind of thing happen to the meat and dairy industries. The fact that these laws are based on a model template called the Common Sense Consumption Act is actually ironic, because what they're saying is, you, the consumer, should have the common sense to know that our food is bad for you.
I've often typified the meat industry to people who maybe don't understand its power and reach as it's got all the money of big tobacco and big pharma, and it has the personality of the National Rifle Association. So any little thing that comes up, man, they beat it to death.
Robert Martin wasn't exaggerating. When the profits of the egg industry were threatened by egg alternative company Hampton Creek Foods, extremely disturbing emails were uncovered by Ryan Shapiro and Jeffrey Light.
We uncovered documents demonstrating the American Egg Board considers Hampton Creek, quote, a crisis and major threat to the future of the American egg industry. The American Egg Board considers a successful egg replacer company to be such a threat that they joke on their government email addresses about murdering the CEO.
In internal government emails with the heads of the egg industry, they suggest having the CEO of Hampton Creek, Josh Tetrick, murdered, including a menacing email from the executive director of the American Egg Board.
Give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. A double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Salutations to Yakim that's out there doing the work of truth and sincerity. Real quick, man, as you've seen that clip in the beginning of the lesson, is from the documentary What the Health. All right, it was 51 minutes in. Highly recommended that you watch. You can find it on Netflix. Also, you can find it on YouTube. All right, and Lord willing, they allow me to put the link in the description. And watch it before they take it down. You know, if you ain't got Netflix, you can watch it on YouTube. You know, and so the truth is readily available, and the Lord is allowing us to prepare ourselves, especially in these days, because our enemy, the devil, you know, like the scripture says, if he didn't make the time short, you know, all life will perish. I'm roughly paraphrasing. It's in Matthew, the 24th chapter, I believe. But, you know, the main culprits are at the highest levels of government, the highest levels of every corporation. And a lot of these things, when it comes to health, or bad health, are being generated, all right, to feed their industries, okay? So, and commercialism is it's the devil, all right? No, but commercialism is the highest form of witchcraft. They use it to exploit people, to you know, to literally just, you know, steal people's souls. But, you know, the gist of this lesson is just to, you know, to say, man, this is one of the main reasons why people are gonna there's gonna be sedition among men. You know, the people are gonna turn against the government because the government is deliberately you know, killing people off, you know, taking people's lives for profit, you know, and it doesn't matter, you know, especially you tribes. And we speaking to you tribes, you know, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know, and the important thing is to take from this is to, you know, to be aware of what times we're living in, because we got enemies. Our enemies are at the highest level, you know, as the scriptures say, which I'm going to give real quick. You know, those are the scriptures I've written down. And through the Spirit, I'll just, you know, if the Spirit leads me to other scriptures, I'll grab them. So this is Lamentations 1 and 5. Just to the point, it says her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. All right, the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are going into captivity before the enemy. All right, now we know this is all true for the nation of Israel. All right, and as Baruch says, we are yet this day in our captivity. All right, so what's happening here is our adversaries are at the highest levels of government. All right, whether it be the federal government, whether it be a local government, and they're selling you out. They're selling you out for a profit, and they're going to continue to do so until you're destroyed. And so that's why it says, man, flee ye the midst of Babylon. All right, because if you don't flee this place, spiritually, mentally, and abstain from the ways, the embedded, the embedded vices of this place, it's going to destroy you. All right, plain and simple. All right, so the chief, Ra'ash, I think that means the first, the head, top, summit, upper part, chief, total, sum, height, front, beginning, head. All right, as in it says chief head. It's like I'm going down. It says height of the stars, chief head of man, city, nation, place. All right, so our enemies are what? Our adversaries are the chief, the ones at the very top. Okay, read it again. Lamentations 1 and 5. Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. You see, her enemies prosper. And what do? They're selling people out, literally selling people's souls for a profit. You know, and you know what the scriptures say, the root of all evil. No, it says what? For the love of money is the root of all evil. All right, and we're dealing with the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, and they're only, their industries are only for profit, and they love money so much they're willing to sell people out for it. Okay, it says her enemies prosper. Salakia. Where we at? Her enemies prosper. For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are going into captivity before the enemy. All right, and so we know that, hey, we drunk the cup of the Lord. And let's get Lamentations 4 and 21. We drunk the cup of the Lord, but the scriptures talking about our affliction being forwarded by the heathen. Okay, I think that, I'm not sure if it's Zechariah 1 and 15, but our affliction has been forwarded, and this is just one of many ways, and so watch out, and it's important that we, change our diet, look into our diet, so look, Lamentations 4:19, our prosecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. And isn't it ironic that the American symbol is the eagle? It said they pursued us upon the mountains and they laid wait for us in the wilderness, and that's historical. It's a perpetual thing that's going on with Esau, Edom versus Jacob, the seed of Jacob. But these are things that have taken place and still take place to this day. All right. It says, verse 20, the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord Yahweh, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow shall we shall live. Under his shadow we shall live among the heathen, which we do till this day. All right. It says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. All right. It says, the cup also shall pass through unto thee. All right, because we have drunken the cup. Okay, and that was slavery, us being under curses. But the Lord, as we drunk that cup fully, We even drunk the most undesirable parts, but our affliction is being forwarded and generated by these Edomites, okay, our enemies, at the very highest levels. And it says, thou shalt be drunken, Esau, Edom, and shalt make thyself naked, which the information, the truth that's being pushed out about the evils that's being done in the earth by the main culprits, Esau, Edom, this proves that their nakedness, all right? It says, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity, all right? And that's our punishment has been accomplished, okay? But now Esau is going overboard, all right? As the scriptures say, he sit on a congregation. I think it's Isaiah 14. I'm going to get it, though, since I quoted it, all right? The house of his prisoners, I think Habakkuk, or is it Obadiah, that he will not let us go, you know? It says, but this is the condition. It says, he will no more carry thee away into captivity, all right? He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins, all right? So their sins are being discovered. Their transgressions are being discovered, all right? How? Of course, the Lord has uncovered their skirts, all right? This is Psalms 94, and this is just addressing, you know, the laws, and the mischievous laws, all right? Psalms 94 and 20, it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law, all right? And that's what they're doing, okay? They've been framing mischief by a law. That's why the corporations pay off the politicians, and the politicians basically sell, you know, these so-called citizens out, you know. That's why they can basically give you junk meat that destroys your innards, your your vital organs, you know, and get away with it based on how they word it, you know, in their laws, okay? It says they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. And that, you see that happen in many ways, and they do it. They do it knowingly, and they do it, and don't think for a second that these industries, the medical industry, the food industries, are not set up to destroy you. All right, and that's why the call is for you to flee the midst of Babylon. All right, it says, and he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their wickedness. Yea, the Lord Yahweh, our power, shall cut them off. All right, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to be cut off for the things that they have done and are doing. All right, and don't think for a second that they're getting away with this. All right, let me see. I'll get that Isaiah 14. All right, because we're pretty much prisoners, you know, to these nations, especially Esau and Edom. All right. All right. And I'm gonna get straight to the point. It's Isaiah 14 and 13. It says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Which are you Israelites? I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. All right. And that's what they're doing. They're literally holding you hostage. Okay. Because the truth of the matter is we're prisoners of war. All right. And they will not let us go. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And see, and that's the sentiment of the so-called white man. All right, they think that they're God, and that they can do as God and do whatever the hell they want in the earth, and not being without being recompensed for it. And they're sadly mistaken. All right. Let me see. Bear with me for a second. Let me see, because I'm trying to look for the one that says, I thought that I was altogether one like, let me see, unto you. Or is it 73? It is 73. Here we go. This is Psalm 73. I start at, let me see. Start at 5. It says, they are not in trouble as other men. And that's speaking towards the wicked. Neither are they plagued like other men. Okay. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence cover them as a garment. Okay. And that's what the so-called white man is all about. You know, they're all about violence. All right. They're all about pride. Okay. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. And these are the ones at the very top. While everybody suffer at the bottom, they're at the very top with their eyes. It says their eyes stand out with fatness. All right. And meaning they have more than they could wish, man. You know, it's simple, you know. Well, it says they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. All right. And this is a sentiment of the wicked. All right. It says they set their mouth against the heavens and their tongue walking through the earth. Okay. So they set their mouths against the heavens, which is the divine laws of the Most High. And all right, and their tongue walking through the earth. It said, therefore, his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. All right. It says, and they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? All right. And so the Most High knows because what? His eyes are 1,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, as the scriptures say. It says, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. All right. And it says, let me see. I'm trying to look for the part where it says, let me see. All right, Salaki, it ain't that one then. All right, well, let's just go back to my notes. Okay. I got Proverbs 4:16. All right, it says, this is the wicked. It says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. All right. This is the mindset, you know. They're very sinister in their ways. So they lose sleep. I mean, their sleep is taken away, or they lose sleep because they haven't done anything wicked enough to oppress, you tribes, And then I'm going to get Micah 2. It says, verse 17 is, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. All right. And that's what the wicked is about. And it's important to understand the mentality of the wicked. Okay. All right. So let's get Micah 2. Okay. Micah 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity. All right. And work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right. And that's why these industries, they mobilize in such a way where they're, on a national level, they can feed people the most unhealthy things. And this is just one avenue, They have many different ways in where they undermining the public, So it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, which, their American military, the military industrial complex, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. All right. So it's not enough that they already have everything their heart can desire, but they want everything that everyone else has, right? Because they feel like they have a divine right to basically exploit to do all these heinous things in the world. All right. But the scriptures say what? Thy terribleness hath deceived thee. Okay. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks. Okay. It said, therefore, thus said the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, right, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. All right. So the Lord has devised an evil against the whole house of Esau. Why? Because at the very top, okay, and so as the scripture says in Sirach 10, as the leaders, so are the people, you know. So, let me see. That's 2 or 10. Yep. And I'm going to jump down. Micah 2 and 10, it says, arise ye, depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. And that's plain and simple. All right. When society will destroy you, you know. That's all this society is set up to do. Okay. Let me see. Where's it? Isaiah. All right. So I'm gonna get Jeremiah. I think it's 50:6. It is a good one though. Jeremiah 50:7. It says, all that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord. You see? Let's see. Okay, and that's the sentiment, you know. They think it's okay to do what they're doing because we have sinned against the Lord, but the Lord says what? The punishment of our iniquity have been accomplished, O daughter of Zion. But he shall visit the iniquity of, Edom. Okay. Why? Because Esau has a perpetual hatred. They wanted to completely move us out of the way, completely destroy us. Okay. But the Lord is not having it. Okay. Because as the scriptures say, you shall not be consumed. You know. All right. Verse 8, it said, remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flocks. This ain't the one I wanted, but it says, flee ye out of the midst of Babylon. All right. Let's see. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, but Slacky, I'm not trying to hold this lesson too long. But I know because Satan tried to take it away. But Psalms 94:20. I think I read that one. Yep. In fact, one more scripture I might have to close out. So Salakia. Okay. But they always talk about go back to Africa or some crazy shit like that. But they won't let us go from this place, man. All right. Let me see. Yeah, so Salaki, bear with me for a second. Obadiah 1:10 says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right? Okay? They're going to be cut off because of the things that they're doing, all right, against the nation of Israel. Okay? Let me see. I did have one more, but it escapes my mind. But, due to time, My time being short, I had to cut it. Hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Recommend that you watch that documentary. Really good. With that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. A double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Salutations to Yakim. That's out there doing the work in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.